Unapologetically authentic is a core tenet of Quade, right? Show up.
Mm-hmm.
If you wear 3-piece suits, great. If you wear cut-off jean shorts and a tank top, awesome. Do that. If you drop an F-bomb, don't care. Be you, and you're going to get way more out of it than if you're trying to pretend to be something that you're not.
Hey everyone, it's Lynn Durham, and you're listening to Create Magic at Work. Create Magic at Work is on a mission to equip senior leaders with tools they need to be a true quantum leader and actually understand what that means. Improve employee engagement, retain top talent, and transform your workplace culture to have less drama and stress. So let's start making magic. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Create Magic at Work. One of the really incredible things about Create Magic at Work being part of the People Forward network now is I am connected with even more amazing people that are stepping into the Create Magic at Work community. And that's really great for everyone because we get some really cool exposure to some leaders that we haven't heard from before. So one of those leaders that I've invited to be a guest on the podcast is Mark McFatridge. His story starts off where he found himself on an island. He had earned an opportunity to lead a large banking region for one of the nation's largest banks. The region was 500 miles from his hometown and was the worst performing banking region in the company. Oh my gosh, I've been in a similar type world. Mark didn't know anybody on his management team or in his new market. His wife and kids were on their own islands trying to navigate their new worlds. He felt pressure from his family, his company, and his team to lead and take care of them. Work-life balance was an unattainable dream, which we all know, hopefully, in the Create Magic at Work community. If you've been following my work, work-life balance is a myth. We're trying to align with the ebb and flow of life. Fortunately, Mark qualified to join a local YPO chapter, and we'll get into that a little bit when Mark and I start having a conversation here. So joining that chapter changed his life. He now was surrounded by other CEOs, business owners, and company presidents who shared the same challenges and opportunities. They understood, like no one else can, the pressure of running a company. This peer group served as Mark's cheerleaders, butt kickers, and accountability team. Mark has never forgotten that feeling of inclusion and of being surrounded by the only people who understand the life of a CEO and other CEOs. Wanting to share those experiences with others, he founded Quade in October of 2021. Quade is a collection of high-performing CEOs who understand life at the top, the perks, the pains, and the persistent stack of piling to-dos. We grow CEOs through unapologetically authentic, diverse peer groups led by proven CEOs to improve the lives of each Quade ally personally and professionally. Prior to founding Quade, Mark has accumulated over 25 years of professional experience and played a prominent leadership role everywhere he served. His background includes serving as the chief executive officer and board member for both public and privately held companies. Mark has led divisions of large companies and accumulated a portfolio of his own privately held companies. I invited Mark to be a guest on Create Magic at Work to talk to every leader listening about his inspiration for Quade and also share some of his wisdom from all of his past and present leadership moments. So Quade's goal is to empower a new era of CEOs and business owners through meaningful relationships, world-class resources, and diverse allies to live out their authentic selves and lead change to improve their companies and communities. Right in line with Create Magic at Work. Mark, welcome to Create Magic at Work.
Really excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. It's been awesome to get to know you just over the last few weeks. And man, I think you and I just clicked right away and so excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything additional that you want to share about yourself that wasn't in the initial bio that I just read with the listeners?
No, I think that really hit it. I think, for me, it all started back, this journey to helping others and having impact on others really went back to, that 2006, 2007 time when I was a CEO for the first time and was all alone. And, you hear that a lot, right? That it's lonely at the top, but only when you experience it do you really understand what that means. And it, you can't talk to anybody who's never been in that role and have them understand. And it's from spouse to kids to friends to, anybody really, and they haven't done it. So that really launched this journey. And no, I think other than that, you've covered it. I don't know what else we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of touched on it right there, that I have so many things that just came up from what you were sharing. So if we're looking at CEOs in general, I think often we forget and I mean this in a positive way. The word might sound a little harsh, but I think we forget about the burden of leadership, but also the gift of leadership when you are a CEO of a large organization. And I mean, right in line with the data and with what I felt in my leadership position, the more I moved up in that hierarchical space, the lonelier I felt, which is the whole reason why I started Create Magic at Work. I couldn't handle it anymore myself. So I just started doing these activities with my team because no one else was going to step in and do it for me. Right. And so that was the aha moment for me, where it was like, okay, I'm in this role. No one's going to step in and do, like, I'm the one. Like let me start reshaping these systems. Let me start building human connection where I can. Is someone going to fire me for that? Like, no. Oh, and by the way, my productivity and my profitability went up. Like, cool. And even pre-pandemic, Harvard Business Review came out with the loneliest workers in America research, and it really showed exactly what you're saying. It can be lonely at the top if you don't have support. And so tell us a little bit about how that transitioned into you inspiring you to create Quade and what Quade is.
Yeah, no, thanks for that lead in. So, I mean, it sounds sexy as hell, right? That you're the CEO or you're the business owner, and that means you can do whatever you want, and you're making loads and loads of money and all that kind of stuff. And what it really boils down to, and I love your word burden. You're not only thinking about your family, you're not only thinking about your company, you're not thinking about your salary. You got to think about the families of the people that you're supporting, not only your employees and their families, but any suppliers that you have, any customers that you have, that burden. And again, I love that word, that burden that you have as a CEO. Nobody else has that, right? They don't have to think about that all the time. And you do think about it all the time. You think about it when you wake up at 2:30 in the morning and you lay there and you think about what's coming up next and how this decision I make tomorrow is going to impact how many people. And it like I said, it sounds sexy as hell, but it's scary as hell, right? Most of the time. And it takes a special person, a special mentality to start a company or to lead a company to be able to take on that burden. And there are few people that have that. And so the inspiration to start Quade is just that. I want to bring people together that understand what each other's going through like nobody else. And only a CEO knows what another CEO goes through. Only a business owner knows what another business owner is going through. And to be able to bring circles of 10 CEOs at a time together and be able to talk about anything, whether it's the professional life and the professional challenges and opportunities that are out there, whether it's the family life that's going on, whether it's the personal life that's going on. There's a battle every day in all three of those segments of a CEO's life that you can't talk about to just anybody. And to have that space that you can share literally anything that's going on in your world with a group of others that can go, yeah, I've been there, I know what that means, is so powerful.
One of the things that you just shared that resonated is, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, because I feel like the way that you're sharing about your decision making and your complexity of thought is really in line with spiritual intelligence and the quantum leader. The quantum leader is a servant leader, but in a way that they make business decisions where they understand the ripple effect that those have throughout families, throughout the community, and how it continues to ripple for the planet and for humanity itself. So I guess I know you're not going to know the stat for this, but I'm like, what percentage of CEOs are making decisions from that space, from that quantum leadership space, like from that breadth of time perception, from that complexity of thought and perspective taking? And was there a moment in your leadership journey where that clicked for you?
There's a lot to unpack there. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I have no idea what the percentage is. What I will say, it's still not enough, right? I
Thank
mean,
you.
I think there are a lot of people that do that, but there's still not enough. And honestly, that's another reason for Quade, of why we founded Quade, is, we want to continue to facilitate that and to help people understand that there's more to it than just starting your own company and taking care of your own family and supporting and doing all that kind of stuff. And the more people see other people do it, the more they are inclined to do it themselves, and they can mirror things that they're quick to see. So I think that's part of the answer is, A, I don't know what the percentage is, but B, it's not enough. And that's one of the things that's, as we talk about building the next generation of leaders through Quade, that's what it is, right? It's sharing those powerful experiences amongst more and more groups and allies that are able to see that and take it to another level for themselves. I think for me, like, just keep going back. I'll say it this way. I've been blessed over my career and life, frankly, of being surrounded by really intelligent, driven, powerful people. And in every conversation or every interaction, I call it pocket experiences, right? Like I watch what others have done, and I put them in my pocket, so then that when I'm in that situation, I'm able to pull it out and utilize that situation, making it my own. We'll talk about authenticity a little bit, but making
Mhm.
it my own. Sometimes I pocket what not to do, right? So I want to avoid that. But again, I've been blessed with so many people in my life that have shown me good things to do, bad things to do, whatever, that I'm able to learn from that. So I don't think it was just one moment where I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. It's this culmination of pocketing of experiences that kind of been surrounded and get invited to be in touch with.
Yeah. One of the reflecting back when I was in a leadership role as a woman and the only woman on the team, I loved it. And I feel like it took me, I'm probably being hard on myself, but I feel like it took me a little bit longer to understand I can do things the way I want to do them and the way that I want to lead from this like feminine energy standpoint, because I was in a system that where I felt like I had to show up a certain way. I had to continue how things were done. I had to look a certain way. I had to present a certain way to fit into this system. And I'm just reflecting back because I learned so much. I mean, there's so many gifts that leadership gives you, right? Now I'm playing with this. How do we embrace faster that reshaping moment? And I think like once you step into this space where and really everybody's a leader, right? Like I'm also playing with leadership, not as a hierarchy anymore, like that concept. But how do we play with reshaping things to make them better sooner, right? And what I like about Quade is right away you're like, you can step into this space and truly be who you are without apologies. We met on Friday in a private connection call, and I had a lot of things going on, and you were like, just that tone that you set, I was still carrying from my corporate days, right? And so it just helped me put my shoulders down a little bit. But I think, where did that come from? Where did you feel that spark where people need to show up or help them have that space? I don't want to say give them permission, right? But like, how did you decide that that was what was needed the most? Was that people are allowed and encouraged to be their authentic selves when they show up in this Quade circle?
Yeah, well, that's an awesome question. So, growing up in the banking world, right? Like my first banking job was with a great organization, but it was very typical, right? It was navy blue suits, white shirts, and red ties, and like almost every day. And I'll never forget one day I bought an olive suit and wore a blue shirt and a tie to work, and you would have thought I showed up naked. Right. I mean, it was kind of funny, the reaction of people. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then when I moved to Springfield, Missouri to lead this banking group that we talked about up front, it was my first time as a bank CEO, right? As a bank president. And I felt, my wife makes fun of me because like I wouldn't go to the grocery store on a Saturday morning unless I had showered and put on, jeans and a collared shirt or whatever. And that wasn't me necessarily, but I felt I had to be in that role. And eventually I got very comfortable with who I am and who I was at that time. And it continues to grow. And when I became comfortable with my own skin and I stopped wearing ties in 2000 and I don't know, 7, I think, something like that. And I haven't worn a tie since, except for my son's wedding because my daughter-in-law made me. But other than that, I've not worn a tie since then. But you could feel that just me being myself and, using the same language, whether I'm in a boardroom, in a customer call at home with friends, whatever, and just being me, it freed me up. And so when I started doing that as a CEO, my teammates saw that and they're like, okay, is it okay for me to do that too? And I'm like, heck yeah, it's okay for you to do it. Right. And instead of shaking hands, we're fist bumping. And, you could just see the burden, like we keep going back to that word, that burden drop off of everybody else. And once they don't have to think about what they have to wear to be in the right role, to come to work, they don't have to worry about, whether they, cuss a little bit in a meeting or whatever, and they can just be their true, authentic, unapologetic selves, that their performance rises, their comfort level rises. We focus on what we're supposed to be doing, not how we're supposed to be doing it. And it's powerful. And so I got to see that firsthand personally, but then and also in all of my teammates and how they responded to that. And so, yeah, unapologetically authentic is a core tenet of Quade, right? Show up, you wear 3-piece suits, great. If you wear cut-off jean shorts and a tank top, awesome, do that. If you drop an F-bomb, don't care. Be you, and you're going to get way more out of it than if you're trying to pretend to be something that you're not.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of talk in the LinkedIn space, in the workplace consciousness right now, about being your authentic self and how can you be your authentic self at work, all this, exactly what we're talking about right now. Sometimes I feel like in certain workplace culture environments, they say that, but it's like with the caveat, like, we want you to be your full authentic self here at work, but show up like us. So I like how you're like, no, I really like, if you wear cutoff jeans, like wear those, right?
Yeah.
Because, and then also there's this other thing where like, I don't even know if all of us really know what our full authentic self is sometimes, because we've worn all of these different masks throughout these different environments that we've been in for safety. Really, a lot of it has been for safety, for psychological safety, maybe for survival in a job, because you need a paycheck to pay your bills and take care of your family. And I would imagine that even stepping into exploring that is interesting, or seeing like the leaders in the Quade circle start playing around with that would be an interesting thing to witness. I know it's a confidential thing, but can you share a story or something that, I'm wondering if you've ever been shook by somebody like, hey, here's me. Like, this is my authentic self.
Yeah, a handful of things. I think you're dead on. And in my opinion, I think this self-awareness and authenticity is a journey, right? Because when you're growing up as a little kid, right, it's almost cast upon you who you are by your parents and their beliefs, and that's okay. And then you go to you go off and you're now out of their household, whether you're at college or you're working and whatever. And now you're like, oh, you mean I can eat, chocolate chip cookie dough for dinner if I want? And you're like, oh, I kind of like that. Right. And so you start building this self-awareness and, who you are and what you do. And it's this journey of, I never really liked broccoli and or whatever. And you go out and you just try this stuff out and you become more self-aware. And the more you expose yourself to other people and with different backgrounds, and you learn about them, and you're able to take those bits and pieces and go, that's cool. I've never thought about that. I've never been exposed to that. I had one of my an aunt of mine as a gifted and talented teacher. When our son was born, she talked about life being about experiences, and so we've been really intentional our entire parenthood, and then also personally, my wife and I, Deb, and we like to experience things not just for the fun of it, but because we learned so much about different things that we had never been exposed to growing up in small town Indiana. And so, again, I think this self-awareness, this understanding of authenticity is a journey, and you can't expect to know that at 22, at 26, at 30, at 40. It's always going to evolve, and you've got to be comfortable with it and let it happen and celebrate it when it does, and surround yourself with people who also celebrate that, whether it's work, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whatever. It's surround yourself with people that think like that, help you grow personally and professionally, help them grow personally and professionally, and all that. So
one of my favorite art pieces that I share occasionally with the Create Magic at Work community is from an Italian artist. Her name is Nicoletta Ciccoli. And it's a picture, and we'll put this in the show notes, and it's a picture of a girl sitting on the ground, and she's surrounded by all of these masks, and she's holding one, and she's kind of deciding which one she's going to wear today. And the title of the art piece is A Girl Hides Secrets. And the quote from that art piece is, "It's hard to constantly pretend to be or feel like you need to be someone else. Sometimes I find it hard to deal with my thoughts and feelings. I am afraid that they would be unacceptable, afraid to be rejected or criticized by others, so I hide myself behind the mask of the good and nice girl. I am not pretending anymore." And I think of that as we're having this conversation, and I also wonder if you feel like, do you feel like it's easier as a former CEO, as a white man? There's two sides to this that I want to talk about. One, I want to know if you feel like, from your lens or from your awareness, if you feel like it was easier to lead the charge of, look, I'm going to let everyone be their authentic selves. The other thing is, I just want to highlight that the way that this leadership mission of Quade is very important, because what it's doing is it's creating this huge ripple effect from, if we are in a hierarchical leadership situation, it's creating this ripple effect that's going out, because it's giving people permission to be their authentic selves, helping a leader have that awareness of the benefit of that, right? Of this quantum leader. Now I can tap into making wise and compassionate decisions a little better. Now I can put my ego aside and operate from my inner wisdom and compassion a higher percentage of time. The impact that has throughout everyone within an organization, communities, etc., is enormous. So I want to call that out, but I want to go back to my original question. How do you feel about that? Like, what are your thoughts on?
Yeah, so a couple things. I think certainly, being a white male in this society at a minimum gives me a little bit more leeway than a lot of people, right? And so I think I would say it that way. But with that leeway, I think comes a ton of responsibility to become an ally and to help others, regardless of whether it's gender or race or whatever, to understand that it's okay. And at a minimum, at least with me, in any organization that I'm going to be running or be in charge of, or have a position of power, not only should you're expected to show your true and authentic self and be that way. So I guess to answer your question, yeah, I think it made it easier, but it also then made it more difficult because, I've got to take on that again, I keep going back to burden of, let's make sure that everybody feels that way and feels empowered to do that and to serve as an ally and make sure that it's known that, honestly, I don't care who you are, what you think or whatever. We're all on this team together. We have a common goal that we're going after. It's easier to achieve if we're all allowed to be ourselves and go about it in the right way, but we have to get shit done, right? I mean, it boils down that we're in this group for a reason. Let's go get some stuff done and figure it all out together. And it's easier if you're able to be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for, answering that and for showing what leadership for the greater good can do and the awareness of the power that we can step into. I think that that's important for all of us. So yeah, really good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to pull a journal prompt card for you
Okay.
and for all the listeners. So it's going to be interesting what we get today. This is from the Create Magic at Work journal prompt card deck that you can find on createmagicatwork.net in the shop. It's a deck of 33 cards, and we're going to pull a message for everyone today. Feel something poking out of the deck here. Oh my gosh. I'm excited because we haven't really gotten this one this year. We got Going Within. And the affirmation on the card is, I gift myself moments of solitude and retreat in order to be in harmony. I'm sorry, I flashed back to Friday when, I gift myself moments of solitude and retreat in order to be in harmony, going within. So, Mark, wisdom, insights shared for everyone listening, maybe just a personal story that will inspire. The two coaching questions on the card are, I think that this might be good for everyone. What work decisions can someone make? And this is like super general, so whatever comes to you. What work decisions can someone make in order to move forward?
What work decisions can people make to help people move forward? I think for me, being present, right, is in wherever you are at whatever you're doing, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's working on a project at your desk or in a conference call or in a whatever. It's being present is huge. And then part of being present, right, is listening to understand instead of to respond, right? That's another core tenet of Quade of that listening piece is so important to truly understand what's being said and listening and taking a step back, not being on your edge, trying to talk and come up with some answer. So being present, listening is a huge part of that and going within. And again, I think that boils back to what we've been talking about a lot is self-awareness and being authentic, right? I mean, I think if we're not that, we're not going to allow ourselves to think about others. We're going to be thinking about ourselves. Whereas if we're really learning and we're on that journey of authenticity, we want to listen to everybody, right? We want to hear where they're coming from, what their experiences are, and be able to pocket them into our own experiences and use them when it's appropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you're hitting on a lot of the skills of spiritual intelligence, awareness of others' worldviews, being a calming and healing presence. And then under wise and effective change agent in the workspace is the whole Edgewalker piece, which you're familiar with the profile, and being your authentic self in any space is the risk-taking skill in Edgewalkers. So just sharing that with everyone that's been listening to the show that's into Edgewalkers and Create Magic at Work, tying that in. I think that this is really encouraging for all of us in the Create Magic at Work community to hear that there are spaces being created for people in positions of power that make decisions that affect hundreds and thousands of people that are consciously doing so from a space of wanting to do that for the greater good. So yeah, I just want to highlight that. And I want to thank you so much for being here today. And if anyone listening is in that space where they're feeling like, wow, I could really use a support group like Quade, how can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you, share their thoughts with you, all the things?
Yeah, all the things. QuadeCircle.com is a great place to start. It'll give you an idea of who Quade is, who we serve, how we serve. I think it gives a really good view of our culture and the type of people that we attract. For sure, I'm sure we'll put my contact information in the show notes, but certainly reach out via LinkedIn, via my email that'll be out there. Would love to talk to anybody. One of the things I learned early on was always take the meeting. And it almost goes back to life's about experiences, right? You don't know what's going to come out of having a conversation with somebody. So yeah, would love that. So looking forward to chatting with you all.
Amazing. Mark, thank you for being a guest on Create Magic at Work, and thank you for sending some magic to everyone today.
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back every week to listen to a new episode of Create Magic at Work and really helping to support and advocate for healthy leaders, workplaces, and lives for all of us. If you want any information on how to connect with me, click on the link in the show notes. You'll get access to all of the social media links for Create Magic at Work. Stay following along for more amazing episodes where we help you improve productivity and profitability in the workplace and decrease stress. Sending magic to everyone, and see you next time.